Yes, sir. We coming back at it with part two of characters that we need to see in Marvel Rivals. If you ain't see the first one, go ahead and check it out. It's on my profile. We're gonna be coming at it with three new Vanguards, three duelists, and three new strategists to round us out. Let's get right into it. First of all, starting off with our Vanguards, I'm going with Doc Ock. I need to see him in the game. I think his tentacles and ability to do things like wall crawling on a Vanguard and just all of his cool movement he could do would be so dope in this game. It'd be nice to have some more villains too, you know what I'm saying? I'm not really sure what they would do with him in terms of like his ult and stuff like that. To be honest, I don't really know enough about this character, but I think in terms of like his movement, I think it would be really dope. I'm thinking about like maps like Midtown, if he could like crawl over like buses and stuff like that. I feel like it would just be so dope to go against. Like cool to play as, cool to play against, because I feel like it would just look mad cool. You know what I'm saying? They need to add him. Next, fan favorite. Some of you were probably surprised he didn't make the first list, but I gotta go with Ghost Rider. Come on now. Gotta add him up in here. One thing I think will be kind of difficult for them to maybe implement would be his motorcycle. Like, I don't know how they would really do that. It would obviously have to be some sort of a cooldown. But the rest of his kit would be like, his chains, of course, his fire. He would just be like aura farming the entire game. Honestly, the fact that he's not already in this game is kind of crazy to me, but they need to figure some of that stuff out, like his motorcycle. How is that going to work? He's obviously going to be a very mobile vanguard, but how do you keep him kind of balanced? Again, I'm not sure. Devs, you got it. Figure it out. Last but not least, for the vanguards, this one's probably a surprise to most of you, but I'm actually putting Deadpool here, and I'm going to go ahead and explain why. I think with Wolverine, they kind of had to downplay his healing factor because of him being a duelist. Now, Deadpool has a better healing factor than Wolverine does. So he should honestly, in my opinion, be a Vanguard. And the reason is he should be able to have that constant passive healing. He should almost be like a tank that if you want to kill him, it's either going to take a lot of critical hits and a lot of ability usage, or it's going to take, most of your team bursting him down. He will be the tank that people will switch to when they're not getting heals, right? He'll be the guy that you get when you just need some heals, right? He'll of course have his pistols, his katanas, or his swords. I don't know if they're katanas, but anyway, he'll have both of those. They just won't do as much damage as your average, DPS would. I think he'll play more in that kind of mid to close range. Of course, close when he's using his swords, and then mid with his pistols. His ult. Again, not really sure. Maybe it could be something around spawning some more Deadpools. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know exactly how they would do that. Or if not, it could just be like some insane regen to where it's the point he can just run into the enemy team and just like tank an Iron Man ult or something ridiculous, right? That'd be pretty funny. Probably broken, but it would be funny. So I'm down. But anyway, that's why I think he should be a Vanguard. It would be cool as a kind of like almost you want to play duelist, but you need a fill for tank, or you don't have a good set of healers behind your back. Anyway, next we're gonna get into the duelists, and here I'm starting actually with Carnage. So Carnage kind of being almost like Venom, but of course tooled for a DPS kit. And there's a lot of cool things that they could do with him. Carnage has the ability to create like axes and different weapons just from his symbiote abilities, I think. And he can even launch projectiles and things like that. Would he end up being a dive DPS? Let's keep it real. Most likely, that would probably be one of the best ways to play him, especially with all of the movement, the wall crawling, the swings, and all of that. But I think they could do a lot of really cool stuff with like I was saying, the axe and the projectile, some things to kind of make him different than Venom. Of course, he's going to need to have less health, but kind of more of that like very damage intensive, close up in your face DPS. I'm a strategist, man. It would be fun to play as him. Probably not too much to go against him, but I think they should add him in the game. Next up is my boy Nova. They need to add Nova in the game. And when I was thinking about where I should put him, I was at first thinking strategist, because you could totally do that with him. You could honestly put him in any of the roles, but I chose DPS just because he has like so many damage based abilities, and I think that would just be doing the best towards his character. He has over here on the right side, shout out to this account right here. They created this art, and I think that this kind of ability usage would be so dope with him. He has the ability to fly, And just like in the first video, I think it should be in like bursts, almost like Star-Lord, where he can fly really fast. And then he'll have the dodge as well, kind of. So he'll kind of be Star-Lord-esque in terms of movement, but his abilities and primary attacks will, other than that, be completely different. Okay, so he has the ability to use the energy blast. It'll be so fun to play as, and then energy shields and so on and so forth. This, if you don't know about Nova, he's dope. You gotta check him out for sure. I think they should definitely add him in the game. I think he'd be a super fun character to play as, and honestly, I don't think he would really suck to go against. I feel like he would be a really good character. They should totally add him. And last but not least, we got one of another fan favorite, Nightcrawler. Now with him, it's going to be a thing about mainly just the teleportation. How are they going to do that? And he'll of course have the fifth limb, which I think should be holding something like a knife. He will probably again end up being another dive DPS. He'll have the teleportation to get in and out. Maybe his ultimate could be something where he's just teleporting. He has like so many teleports where he can teleport super far, things like that. But he will definitely end up being a dive DPS. I think he'll be really fun to play as. To play against, probably pretty tricky. But if he does get choke slammed by Emma, he's probably just instantly dead. If he gets hooked by Bucky, he's probably instantly just dead. So a very high risk, high reward kind of a character. I think that's how they could kind of balance him out. But if you are, back there solo healing, good luck. That's all I'm gonna say. But anyway, with that said, let's get into some love for the strategists. I got some different takes here for this one. These are going to be lesser known characters for the most part. So we got Nebula, who most of you probably know from the MCU. I think they could make Nebula a strategist, and that's going back to kind of her like robotic like abilities. I think she would be actually really fun as a strategist. She could use like her arm to do healing. I think it's her left arm that's the robotic one. Yeah, as you can see right here, and she can use that to heal her teammates. And then at the same time, Nebula isn't afraid to scrap up. She'll use a sword, whatever it takes to fight. And she also has almost some sort of like healing factor as well that they could possibly like use because she is mostly machine. I think she would be pretty dope as a strategist. How they would figure out her entire kit, I'm not entirely sure again, but I think that they could totally do something with her and they'd have a lot of freedom in terms of what they'd want to do. I think she'd be pretty cool. Next up, we got Iceman. Now, I was actually first thinking about putting him in the DPS category. But then I saw somebody talking about, oh, you'd be cool as a strategist. And I was thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, that would actually be pretty dope. You could kind of have like almost I'm already thinking about the Luna team up. That would be absolutely fire. But he would have like a lot of cool movement abilities. He can, as you see in the right image, he can kind of like almost kind of fly. I'm not entirely sure, but something like that. He had a lot of cool sky like skating, flying kind of stuff. And then a lot of CC, of course. And then just his primary attack can just, heal. I think that would be pretty solid overall support. And last but not least, hear me out on this one. We gotta go with Shuri. I think she would be pretty dope. First of all, with Black Panther, getting another Black Panther would be pretty cool, or Black Panther character. And her kind of fist things. What are these? I don't know what they're called. Whatever that's called. That thing would be pretty cool. You could push away, almost kind of like Invisible Woman, but it would be like probably more common, just as like a close up in your face, push them away from you kind of a thing, and maybe not even tied to an ability necessarily. And then she can also heal with that. And one thing that's great about this character is that she is like lesser known, right? So they can have a lot of freedom in terms of what they want to do to her, because I don't think people would really like trip too hard if they kind of, you know, decide to take her in a different direction. But they can totally tool her kit around healing and also around just like being able to deal with some of those a close up in your face DPS. Because as I was saying, with Carnage and Nightcrawler and a lot of these DPS, a lot of Marvel characters are just very up in your face, like melee, right? I think the characters of Shuri and then Nebula would be able to kind of help if you're playing, you know, strategist and you kind of need some more help there. Let's just keep it real. Right. So I think these are my takes. What do you think about them? Let me know. There's still some more characters, a lot more that could be added to the game. But these were some that I saw and I was like, well, I think these would be pretty solid. Let me know what you think down below in the comments section though. And with that, I'm out. Take care.